two, one, two.
Welcome to Idaho Scale Modeler Product Review. Hello and welcome to Idaho Scale Modeler. I'm Kerry Allen. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to all my buds at International Scale Modeler for inspiring me to start doing review videos. This is my first attempt and I hope you all enjoy it. Today's review will be a head-to-head comparison between Gravity Colors and Zero Paints. Both are similar in the fact that they are lacquer-based, they are pre-thinned for airbrush use, and the companies both boast a plethora of color choices. Today's video will consist of three basic points. The first will be cost. The second will be workability or ease of use. And the third will be the quality of the finish. Okay, let's get started with our first point, which is cost. What you see here is a total of $29.65. The gray surface primer is 30 milliliters for $6.95. The anthracite black is 30 milliliters for $6.95. And the 3-part clear gloss kit is $15.75. The clear gloss is 30 milliliters. The clear gloss thinner and the clear gloss activator are both 0.33 milliliters. This works out to be 32 cents per milliliter. Okay, and now for the Zero Paints brand. What you see here is a total of $44. The light gray primer is $9.75 for 60 milliliters. The Lotus F1 Black is $10.75 for 60 milliliters. And the 3-part clear gloss kit is $23.50, which consists of 100 milliliters of clear coat, 60 milliliters of thinners, and 60 milliliters of hardener. This works out to be 13 cents per milliliter, a much better bargain than the Gravity paint. Point number one, cost. Zero Paints wins. Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time to get started on our second point, which is workability in our head-to-head test between Gravity Colors and Zero Paints. Today we're going to shoot down some primer. We are going to be using a Iwata Neo with a 0.4 needle in it. I'll get down a couple of coats of primer. We'll let it dry and I'll scuff it up with some 3000 grit and then we'll get ready to shoot some color. So let's head over to the booth. Okay, here we are at the booth. This is the Gravity Paints or Gravity Colors primer. We're going to load some up in the airbrush and we'll get to spraying it. It's going to get a little loud once I turn on the extractor, so bear with me. Okay, here we go. I got my Iwata Neo here with the 4 needle in it set at about 12 to 15 psi. And we'll just start spraying. And that's going on really nice and smooth. You can see that in the camera or not, but it's going on really nice. So I don't want to go too much at first. We'll get a nice thin coat on it to start, let it dry a little bit, and then we'll put on some heavier coats on top of that. You don't want to go too much on your air pressure with this stuff. It'll dry almost instantly out of the airbrush, and it'll be kind of a rough surface on the spoon or whatever it is you're spraying onto. So if you go low air pressure and really thin coats and build it up, you'll get a nice smooth finish on there. And it seems to be covering quite well just with a couple of coats on here. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a little bit, and then we'll see if we don't need to sand it down a little bit. Okay, we're back. So I don't know if you can see this or not. Kind of hard to tell. It's very smooth, but we're going to go ahead and scuff it up with a little bit of 3000. I use these little pads like this, 3000 grit. It's a disc sander, 3000. I just cut little pieces off of it. And so we're going to go ahead and smooth this out very lightly, and you can kind of see it is taking that rough dust off of there. Real easy. I'm applying absolutely no pressure. Just kind of smoothing it off. And I'm telling you what, that is really, really smooth. So we're going to set that aside. That's our Gravity Colors one. Now I've got another spoon here prepped and ready to go for our Zero Paints brand. And I've already given this a good stir with my Badger stirrer. And we're going to put some in the airbrush and shoot down some of this. So here we go. Put my lid back on, set that aside. All right, I'm going to turn the extractor on, and we'll get started spraying these Zero Paints. Same air pressure, same airbrush. Give this a little blow with some air to make sure you got most of the dust off of there. And start to spray. Now right off the bat, I can tell that this is much thinner than the Gravity paints. Taking quite a bit more to get to cover the first coat there. Go ahead and let that dry a little bit. Try and do the same procedure I'm doing on both colors. Don't have any issues with people coming back and saying, oh, you did that one different than the other one. And try and do everything the same. So we'll go ahead and add a little bit more on here. Literally, as this is coming out, I can hardly see that it's going on there. But it is. This also has very good smooth surface going on there, but I can tell that it's going to take probably a little bit more of this to cover than the Gravity did. If you can see that or not. It's not quite as thick. But again, it is very smooth. Alright, that's the first coat. We'll throw a little bit more in the airbrush here. With both of these, obviously they're lacquer based, and they will evaporate very quickly. So make sure you cover up your bottles when you're not using them. To tell you the truth, I'm having a hard time even seeing this coming out to tell if it's even spraying, but it is. Well, I can tell you right now, everyone, that just by what I'm seeing so far, the Gravity Colors primer definitely has a better coverage than the Zero paints. And that, if you remember my first point, you get a lot more paint for your money with the Zero paints. But if you're going to use that much more to cover, that kind of offsets that fact that you get more. So we're going to let that dry, and then we'll get back to it and see if it needs some sanding. Okay, we're back again. So after these have all both dried and I've scuffed them with 3000, I've got them incredibly smooth and ready for paint. They are almost identical in coverage as far as being able to see through it. And I don't know if you guys can see on camera, but you can almost see the Z and the G through. Not quite on camera. I can kind of see them through here. But we used just a little bit more paint, I would say, on the Zero to get about the same coverage. The Zero is a darker gray to start with. So it's they're about equal, I would have to say, when it comes to the coverage and the ease of use. Absolutely the same. The smoothness after sanding it with the 3000, absolutely the same. One thing I did want to talk to you guys about, with the Gravity paints, these are plastic bottles. And you can hear that they've got a little stainless steel ball bearing in their agitator to help you to stir it up when you shake it. On the other hand, the Zero paints also has a stainless steel ball bearing in there, but these are glass bottles. And I've seen on the internet a couple of times where people have been shaking their bottles of Zero paints and the glass shattered because of the ball bearing in there pounding around. And you could imagine the mess of 60 milliliters of paint all over everything. So not such a great idea having that in a glass bottle. Gravity, on the other hand, plastic. You can hear the difference. So, I don't know, it's just something to think about. So what I'm going to do next here, I'm going to get a clean airbrush. We're going to go with some paint this time. This time I'm going to be using my Harder Steenbeck Evolution with a 0.2 needle in it for doing the paint. So I'm going to get this prepped and ready to go here, and we'll put down some paint. Okay, we're ready to start loading up some paint, and get some color on this. So I'm going to start off with the Ferrari Rosa Scuderia, is Gravity Colors Red for Ferraris. Gave that a good shake. We're ready to put some of this in our airbrush. So take some paint here, put her in, put the lid on my paint, set that aside. And on the extractor, and this is, you can see the G for Gravity Colors. We've already wiped this down nice. Same thing with the primer. Start off with a really light coat. Get some paint on there. And again, we're going with about 15 psi, so we get a nice smooth finish on there. And that's all I'm going to do to start with. Right there. Not too much. Just enough to get it started, something to grip to. And I'll start putting on some more. Okay, we're going to need to put some more in the color cup. We're just going to keep building up the layers, letting her dry a little bit, and then we'll add some more until we get a nice glossy coat. Now this stuff, Gravity Colors and Zero Paints both dry to a satin finish. That's why you got to use their 3-part gloss kit. Nice smooth coverage on this. Really liking the look of that, and that's only the second coat. Start putting it on a little bit thicker now. We start to see that wet look. Move on. And I'm starting to get really good coverage now. And that's looking awesome. I like to go back and forth both directions. And there's our third coat. Looking really good. See that up close. Light on there. I'm going to put one more coat on this. We're going to do 4 coats of each paint. Give it another good shake. And that is looking really sharp. And as that dries and settles, it'll get dull on us. So that there is the Gravity Colors red. Now I'm going to clean the brush and get ready to put on the Zero Paints color. Okay, time for the Zero Paints. There's the Z for the Zero spoon. And I'm going to load up my airbrush with the Zero Paints Italian Red, it's called. And just by looking, both of these reds seem to be very similar in color. Set this aside. And hit the extractor. And away we go. Alright, so now, right off the bat, it seems to me like this red is covering quicker than the Gravity color. So there's my first coat. I've already got a first coat on there. I don't know if you can see inside the color cup, I've barely used any. So on the Gravity Color spoon, for 4 coats, I actually used 4 full color cups. So let's see what we do with the Zero Paints red. That was my first kind of a thin skim coat. Now we're going to go with the second one. Yeah, definitely I see a difference already. This paint is definitely covering quicker than the Gravities did. There's my second coat. And I'm just about done with the first color cup you see in there. I'll go ahead and finish it off. Now, I will say, to me, the Gravity Colors paint seems to lay down quite a bit smoother. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up my color cup again. We'll go ahead and put on a little thicker coat this time. See if I can get it to level out better. There, and that looks a little better on leveling. It's not so rough looking. That's a good second coat. Or actually, that was the third coat. Let's do 4 here. Now that seems to have leveled out quite nice. Not rough like it was in the beginning. And that's our fourth coat. Set that aside and let it dry, and I actually still have some left in the color cup after that. Right off the bat on that one, I think I might have to give that, we'll see after it dries, but I think we're going to have to give that one to the Zero Paints. Okay guys, here we're back. I've given these about a half an hour to dry. I really hope that you guys will be able to see this. But this is the Zero Paints. 4 coats of their paint. Try and get it to focus. But if you guys can see there, that surface dried extremely rough. Very orange peely. Okay? Trying to get it to focus better, but I guess it won't. Sorry about that. So that's Zero Paints, and you can kind of see that there's a texture on there. And to the naked eye, I mean, it is very orange peely. So this is the Gravity Colors. And you can see a huge difference. That is smooth as glass, and that has not been sanded. That is just 4 straight up coats of the paint. And maybe you can see it better if I do them up together. So this one here that I'm moving is the Zero, and this one is the Gravity. And you can totally see a difference in smoothness. And when I shot them, they were both glossy and smooth after I shot them and let them dry. And that's what you get afterwards. So I don't know. I'm going to have to lean towards the Gravity on that one. I mean, the coverage on the Zero Paints seemed to use less paint, went down really nice, but after it dried, I mean, it's just not a very nice finish. You saw, I mean, I did everything the same. The Zero Paints is a little bit darker, so that might have something to do with why it seemed like it was covering quicker. But I'm telling you what, that Zero Paints finish is like glass. So we'll let it dry about 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and sand that down a little bit, get it nice and smooth before we shoot the clear coat. All right, I just wanted to clarify at the end of that last segment. Towards the end there, I said that the Zero Paints had the glassy, smooth finish, and I was incorrect. That was actually the Gravity Colors I meant to say. Apologize for that. So it's been 24 hours. I'm back now, and I have sanded both of these down with some 2000 grit wet. Very lightly with the 2000 grit wet sandpaper. And this is the Gravity Colors. And I barely touched it. Just barely scuffed it with the wet. And I'm telling you what, that is what I like to call baby butt smooth right there. I mean, that is sweet. That is going to look outstanding when we get some gloss coat on it. And this is the Gravity. On the other hand, Zero Paints. You remember we had that texture issue. It was very orange peely. Even though I thought that it covered a little better. But I'll tell you what, I sanded this with the 2000 and it took all I could to get that out of there. And you know what? I couldn't get it all out. In fact, if you can see it, it's hard to tell, but in some spots, I went all the way through to the primer, trying to get that orange peel out of there, and you can see it. It's bad. Now, I don't know if it's something I did wrong. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. But I am going to, for the benefit of the doubt, I am going to shoot another one of these with the with the Zero Paints and do everything the same again and see if I get a different result. But as of right now, boy, that Gravity Colors paint, I mean, look at that, is just outstanding finish. I shot another spoon as well. This is what they call their Mango Tango for Dodge. And I haven't shot any clear on it yet, but just to give you guys an idea of what it's going to look like, I'll pour some water on here. You can see, now it's kind of hard to get it to go, but anyway, I poured this under the sink, under the tap, and got it really super wet, and it just looked fantastic. Let me tell you, I can't wait to get some gloss coat on this stuff and check it out. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and shoot that red again on the Zero paints to see if I get a different result. If not, we're going to go with it. If I do, then, you know, I'll chalk it up to whatever. I did something wrong. I don't know what it is, but anyways, I'll get back to you guys when I get that done. Okay, guys, I'm back. I went ahead, I took the liberty of reshooting the Zero red. I did all the same steps exactly the way I did last time. 2 coats of primer, dried, sanded the primer with 3000, wiped it down, and then shot 4 coats of the red on top of it. And Albert Einstein once said that if you do things more than once expecting a different result, then you're crazy. That's the definition of insanity. I guess I'm insane. I tried something twice looking for a different result, and I didn't get it. I got the same exact result that I got the first time. Very, very orange peely, very rough. And I have a few friends out there that use Zero paints a lot, and I'm going to get with them and tell them what I did. And obviously they'll see this video when it gets put up on YouTube. But I don't know what I'm doing wrong or something I should do different to not get this result. But once again, if you go back to the the Gravity paints, there's the result I got with that. Doing the same procedures. Baby butt smooth. Just absolutely fantastic finish on that. Really happy with it. And maybe you can see that. That's a good shot right there of how rough and orange peely that finish came out with the Zeros. So like I said, I'm going to get with some friends, find out if there's something I can do different. And when we come back, I'm going to be shooting some clear gloss on both of these. So I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, we're back, and I'm getting ready to start point number 3 of our head-to-head test between Gravity Colors and Zero paints. If you remember when I left you last, we had had some issues with the Zero paints having this crinkly texture once I sprayed the color on it. I have done multiple tests, redoing everything, trying to get it to change, and I have not been able to. Every time I do the test, I spray it thin. I've used different, I tried it without primer. I've talked to some friends online that use Zero paints, and what we've come up with is they think it's possibly a bad batch of paint. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and finish the review. I'm going to get ready to spray the lacquer on right now. And the guy that supplies me my Zero paints is actually going to send me some more paint from the newest batch from Zero, and to see if I get a different result with that. Just to let you know, excuse me, I'm going off camera a minute. This is a model I did earlier this year. This is zero paint that's done on this, and they're racing white. Okay, and I did not have any issues with this. That is, paint is smooth as glass, and so I'm really confused on why I'm getting such a terrible result with the zero paints this time. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to get back to the booth and get ready to spray the gloss coat for Gravity Colors. Okay, we're back in the booth, ready to go. I'm going to start shooting the Gravity Colors clear gloss. And I'm going to be using the Iwata Neo again. So here we go. A little blow off. I've already wiped these down, cleaned them all off, so they should be good. I got to start off with a nice thin coat as usual. Give that stuff something to bite to. And I am using about 15 psi again. Once you get your first coat on there, you can start laying it on a little heavier. Looking pretty nice now. Let that dry up a little bit. This Gravity Colors has great leveling capability, so it should, once you get the first, second coat on and it tacks up, you should be able to start laying heavier coats on, really building that gloss up. That's really starting to look nice. I'm going to turn my pressure on the gun down just a little bit. Laying it on pretty thick now, and I'm getting no evidence of any type of fish eyes or running. It's really starting to look nice. Get that up in the camera there. That is looking really, really nice now, and that's only 3 coats. Wow, I'm really impressed with that. So we're going to go with another coat here. And that is looking really good. I'm going to set that one down out of the way here. I got some other colors here I want to shoot down some on. so you can get an idea of the different, how it looks with different colors. This is the Ferrari red. With that good tack coat on there, nice and light. And this is that Mango Tango color. Do a little bit heavier coat now. All right, well, I'm going to finish all these up. It's taking a little too much time, and then I'll show you my result when I'm done. Okay. From here, I got the Ferrari red, and that looks absolutely fantastic. That is 4 coats of the Gravity Colors clear coat. And there's the anthracite black. And you can just see, I mean, it's almost like a mirror reflection. And this has not been sanded or polished or anything yet. That's just sprayed. And then this is the Mango Tango color. And it just looks fantastic as well. So next I'll get into mixing up some of the Zero paints. I'm reluctant to continue with this review because of the issues I'm having with the Zero paints. Again, you can see the texture on there, and I have not resolved the problem yet. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to shoot some clear on this and see if it doesn't fill it in and make it look okay. So that'll be the next thing. I'm going to mix up some Zero, and we'll get spraying that. Okay, ready to start shooting the Zero paints 3-part clear coat. Get her mixed up in that bottle. I'll pour them in my Iwata here. And we'll get started spraying. Again, I'm not sure how this is going to work with all this roughness on the paint texture, but we'll give it a go anyhow. Again, nice thin coat to start with. Give it something to grab a hold of. All right, I'm going to go ahead and finish up on these, and then I'll get back with you guys when I'm done. Okay, we're back. I'm almost done spraying the Zero clear coat. And guess what? The clear coat was able to fill in all the roughness. As you can see, it's pretty damn smooth and shiny. It's the black and the red. Very shiny. So I don't know what to say. Um, we're we're happy with both. The zero paints obviously gave me a little trouble, um, but the gravity colors, they were flawless. Had absolutely no trouble with them at all. And so I'm gonna go ahead and let all this stuff dry 24 hours. I'm gonna sand it with some 5,000 grit sandpaper, and then I'm gonna polish it up, and then we'll have our final review. Okay, hey, I'm back. Just wanted to show everyone here what I did. The clear coat had a 24 hours to dry, and I came in with this 5,000 grit sanding sponge, and I did it wet. Went over everything, got rid of all the lint and trashy stuff that was on the surface, and then I used the Tamiya 3-part polishing compounds on all of them, and then I waxed them. And this is what I came up with. This is the zero paints after polish, and it looks great. Very happy with that finish. That's the Ferrari red. This is the black. As you can see, it's mirror finish. Got a great reflection in there. So that came out really nice. And then this is gravity. And it's really hard to tell on camera. It really is, but the gravity colors finish is just a little bit better. Let's see if we can compare these two together. I don't know if you can make it tell the difference, but there's a little bit of difference, but I got to go with the gravity on the finish. I will say this. I've talked to some more people about the problems I had with the zero paints and it crinkling. And a lot of guys are telling me that I may have put it on too thick. So I tried it again, putting it on thin, like 6 or 7 thin layers instead of 4 thicker coats like I did on everything else. And I got the same thing. It still crinkled up on me. So I don't know. So anyway, final review. As you know, the first one was a cost. And if you look at what you get for your money, obviously zero paint, you get a lot more paint for the money. But when you factor in the ease of use, the gravity colors was way easier to use. I just shot it and had no problems. Talking with some people, gravity colors uses some ingredients in their paint that promote leveling, and this is one of the reasons why their paint's a little more money. In my opinion, it's worth it. I mean, you always hear you get what you pay for. So I got to give, workability, easy use obviously goes to the gravity colors. The third point is the finish. They are almost a dead tie, to tell you the truth. I mean, what we got out of both of those is a really, really good finish, and I can't complain on either one, obviously. I wish, the picture on the screen, it doesn't do it justice, but these look really great. Now, when I'm looking at it right here and I'm looking at the reflection of my light and the grill on that light, you really can't see it. But on the gravity side, the grill is almost perfectly detailed. It's like a mirror. And on the zero side, it's like a little out of focus, you might say. So as far as finish goes, like I said, really super close, but I'm going to have to give that one to Gravity as well. And so overall, I think, the Gravity paints, Gravity colors, just a little bit better. You pay more, but in my opinion, I think it's worth it. And, I'm going to continue to use both. I like both of them. Zero has an absolutely outstanding color choices. If you go to their website and look at the color choices they have, it's crazy. They've got just about everything you could imagine for race teams, and it's amazing. Go check it out. Same with Gravity Colors. They're doing the same thing. They wanna compete with Zero as far as the color choices that they have, and they're doing a really good job. One of the other things, it's not really that important, but it is worth noting. If you look at the two bottles, Zero paints kind of boring, don't have much life to it. And Gravity's done a really good job of making their bottles really sexy, and that's kind of cool. I mean, what it's worth, whatever, but I mean, that, in my opinion, I think it's kind of cool. So, anyways, don't take my word for it. Go out, try some of your own. I really enjoyed doing this video, and I hope you guys enjoy watching it. It is a little long. I apologize for that. But once again, this is my first attempt of ever doing a YouTube video or a review of any kind. So please leave, excuse me, please leave comments at the bottom. I want to hear good and bad. I want to know what you liked about this and what you don't. So in my next video, I can fine tune it, and that's what I really like about YouTube. I don't take negative feedback negatively. I use it to make it better. So I appreciate you guys watching, and look for my next video.